Riley Cooper, I mean, like, that dude deserves a statue. I mean, like,
number one on your speed dial.
Hey, I'll tell you what, like, I mean, I didn't know until a couple days after the fact. I was like, wait a minute, is he the MVP or like was he on the all-tournament team?
No doubt about it.
And then Ty Floyd, when I sure got 17, and like stole it from him. But I was like, when has a pitcher like been a part of like 5 of the 6 wins in Omaha? I mean, what a performance!
Coach, it's great to meet you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you for the time. Yes, sir.
Sharp a little late, boys, at the spring game, obviously, as you can see. A couple of booze cruises here to do. Let's spit, cruise, grand salami to the boys, finally back on track. And I got another one coming. Don't you think I don't? And that's how we roll in Tiger Stadium.
Just watching the spring games that were on television, one thing that jumped out about your squad is your quarterback room is very talented compared to a lot of the league and a lot of the country. I wonder, is it easier to recruit that position when you have talent or when you don't have talent? Coach Kelly, we're official.
Finally,
I'm
get a
telling
chance to meet you. Thought I had to get a private audience with the Pope. There's Jordy.
Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification. We about to go live. We got all your favorite guests. We got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show.
And
Come have a good time.
Tearing up, answering the question. I thought, my God, if she gets offered this job, she's going to take it.
It's just a crazy, fun time at LSU right now. Isn't this what everybody loves?
From the boot to the east to the west coast. No matter where we at, we open up the phone lines. Come and join the show. Make sure you tell your friends about Jordy Culotta Show. Yeah.
Let's go! Let's go!
All right.
Big day.
Start.
Big day.
Nice start.
It's the Jordy Culotta Show. Come have a good time.
Coach, it's great to meet you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you for the time. Welcome in to a Thursday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, live here from our Click Here Digital Campus on this Thursday morning. We appreciate you starting your day here with us. If you don't mind, hit that like button, share button, comment button. If you're watching and you are not subscribed, please hit that subscription button before you get out of here. We'll be with you until 9 a.m. this morning, and obviously it is bye week LSU-Bama. We will preview that game and continue to talk about it a little bit, but we're going to get off the topic here this morning for a couple of segments. As Jay Johnson, LSU National Championship head coach and newly inked to a 7-year extension, going to stop in here and give us a briefing on fall ball and how the Champs are looking as they look to defend their title with a new faces, new team, and we'll learn about that with Coach Jay Johnson coming up here at 8 a.m. this morning. Every Thursday, we link up with the voice, Chris Blair. He'll stop by at his regular 8:15 segment. We'll talk to the voice on how he'll be spending the bye week and what's happening as far as this LSU football team is in preparation for another Alabama game that's going to be a huge one coming up on November 4th over in Tuscaloosa. So we'll talk all about it. Remember, Daily, we're built by RMB Builders, our friends over at RMB, Rhett Bourgeois and the crew. You can find them online at rmb-builders.com, or you can simply hit them on Instagram at RMB Builders as well. Tell them you heard it right here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Our phone line, Daily, brought to you by Southern Regional Medical Center. Southern Regional Medical Center, of course, Charlie Harvey and Jason Ramazan, BJ, and the entire crew over there as real doctors, real solutions. Southern Regional Medical Center is where you can find them. And we are live here on our Click Here digital campus. This defensive back story for LSU really starting to take shape as people starting to recognize. I think it was probably Brian Kelly's presser earlier this week that may have tipped them off. And then yesterday in the SEC teleconference, he was asked a couple of times about the availability of his DBs and who is going to be an option for them this weekend. So this is something that we're going to continue to monitor and really kind of find, as one of the top stories going into this game next week is what LSU and how they're going to figure out this defensive backfield room. I say that these types of scenarios where really it feels almost like a one-game deal. I'm not even kind of thinking of LSU as far as the back end of the season goes. Really and truly just in this moment in the Bama game, you're thinking these are moments and these are opportunities that create memories for players, right? Good or bad. And whether they know it now or not, someone who has not had a major role on this team, someone who has not played significant amount of snaps, is about to get a great opportunity presented to them next Saturday night. I don't know if it's going to be a starting role. I don't know if it's going to be in a sub. I don't know if it's going to be in some type of package, but whoever is available for LSU, and I'm talking names like LaTerrence Welsh and Jeremiah Hughes and Ashton Stamps, guys and true freshmen that just a year ago were playing high school football. Welsh was on campus here at LSU, but a very young player with limited experience. The other two guys in Hughes and Stamps were playing high school football last year at this time. And for the state of the room and where it is, whether Denver Harris and Deuce Chestnut are available next Saturday night, and it does not feel like Chestnut will be, I still am optimistic that Denver Harris will be available. There's still going to be opportunities for guys that have not had a major impact on this team to create one on a huge stage, and that is what the beautiful part about sports is, right? Like, to me, this is what makes sports, athletics, competition. It draws you to it as a youngster, and if you're able to continue to play it into your young adulthood and into your profession, what an incredible opportunity! What an incredible job and life that is. But at the baseline of it, it's about getting an opportunity and either shining or getting crushed. And for LSU in their defensive backfield next Saturday night, that's kind of the deal. I mean, that's where they are. I mean, you can sense when Brian Kelly talks about the room. You can sense when the players are asked about the room. You can hear in the voice when people talk about LSU from a national standpoint. LSU has been a trending school for the past couple of weeks, a trending program where people are starting to buy back their stock on LSU and looking at the potential of a postseason team that is starting to exist again. They're answering some questions on the defensive side of the ball that, early on you were thinking, well, if they can't get some of these issues capped, then it doesn't matter how good you are offensively, which is a shame because they're monumentally, they're great. They're once in a decade, once in a 5 years. Now, LSU, for whatever reason, I think the football gods are just serving them offense every 5 years because of the ice ages and the dark ages that you had to go through for a better part of a decade. So here you are with another stat-setting, record-setting offense and a defense that's slowly starting to figure it out. But from the defensive backfield standpoint, there's not a lot that you can do from an improvement. When Pete Jenkins got in, he looked at some of the rotations and said, why aren't you playing Parashan more? Why isn't Braden Swinson on the field more? Why aren't you playing Jordan Jefferson more? Why aren't you moved up on the line of scrimmage? Like those low-hanging fruit type of suggestions have turned out to be, almost game-changing type moves that LSU has made. I don't think you can make those moves in the defensive backfield. In fact, I know you can't, right? I mean, there's not this selection of different talent that you can play. There's not this alignment that you can play. I know that, they've been criticized of playing 10, 12, 15 yards off the ball, which I get. But, if you're not going to play the guys that can predominantly play man, then I guess you have to play that type of scheme. But if you throw Welch, you throw a guy like Harris, somebody out there that can do that, then, you would wonder why not play to the strength of their skill set. But either way, next Saturday night, LSU is going to have opportunities for young players and players that have not made an instant impact on this team to create that. Because the game plan simply for Alabama is going to be attack the secondary. One thing that Jalen Milroe does well is that he does push the ball down the field. He throws the deep ball well. And, if you're talking about just putting him in a shotgun, letting him catch snap and 2 steps in a hitch and throw it, LSU could be in a spot where they're going to have to guard. They're going to have to cover. They're going to have to make plays on the back end of the defense that up to this point has proven just nearly impossible. So I'm looking at this game again, still 9 days out, as a great opportunity for players that have either not played at all, or much. I think Jeremiah Hughes has logged 8 snaps. He could get extended playing time for the first time all season on the road versus Bama.
Jeremiah Hughes has 37 snaps in 8 games. With Terrence Welsh is the most with redshirt freshman Terrence Welsh has logged the most snaps this season of anybody not named Sage Ryan. So it feels like that might be at least one of the twos you're going to go with.
You're going to have to. That's where they are. I think that's they're at a point of desperation where, it's down to the bodies that are just there.
Well, and that's what he said in the presser, right? Where it kind of felt like we're going to roll with who's here. But why, if there was ever a time to get this right, why keep them on the team if you're not going to bring them back? I'm talking about Denver Harris and Deuce Chestnut, obviously.
What
do you either, you carrot meet stick? You're just dangling it out there, and I guess you just let them keep running until you find out something that they figured it out. But is it going to be a 2-week trial? Now they're going to have to figure it out in the bye week, and then they start practicing again next week? Or is it just they're not going to play?
Well, I would imagine we'd find out more of that next week. when you'll learn the status. If they're back on the team and they're back practicing again, that would tell me that they're going to play just because of, again, desperation, right? Players, you need them. You need bodies. And those two guys, if I'm voting, I think I saw our poll question is, will Denver Harris and Deuce Chestnut return for Alabama? You got a couple of options. Yes, no, just Deuce, just Denver. I voted just Denver. The things that I have learned and heard about Chestnut is that, he's far away from the program.
Right.
The stuff that's going on with Harris, while very frustrating, it's still about being able to follow the rules of the program, and I don't think that this is continuous. I think that this is something that happened at one stint that's being penalized and punished throughout the season, but there is something more to it of why he's not with the team. I mean, at this point, he should be in the program practicing and a part of the drills. And I think next week will be very telling for what the status and what the future of Denver Harris looks like, right? I mean, if he's back with the team, then I think that, he's an option for Saturday night. If he's not, I would read more into what the future of Harris looks like to
the LSU and
to the program,
to football, because that's the other thing is for both Deuce Chestnut and Denver Harris, you've already used your one time transfer portal where if you try to leave again, you'll have to sit out a year, and now your career is in jeopardy of, okay, you started off as whether highly touted for Deuce Chestnut, you were a freshman, like All-American by some standards. For Denver Harris, you were a 5-star corner that came in and was halfway through the year was a freshman All-American by on 3. So you're squandering potential here. So it seems like PK does kind of have you by the nutsack a little bit to where, all right, you don't want to play by the rules, where are you going to go?
True. And I would now spin
and now they're going,
the
well,
other way,
yes, this is a good old Mexican standoff.
In this game last year, Harris was targeted 12 times and gave up 25 yards against Alabama. He was primarily locked in to Jermaine Burton. If you signed him for one reason and you signed him for one skill set, it would be to play man-to-man defense against some of the high-end receivers in the league. Has he proven up to this point that he can do that consistently? No, nobody has on this team. But come next Saturday night, you're going to have to find somebody that's going to have to be able to lock in and guard. And whoever those options are, my point is that somebody's getting a great chance to create a start of a legacy here at LSU in the defensive backfield, because they are there. They are at a point of desperation. I mean, during Wilson Alexander's question to Brian Kelly earlier this week, you could see it. I mean, like, he stepped away from the podium. He's like scratching the back of his head. I mean, he's just like, I don't know what else to tell you. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, let's run through it again.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, let's do this again.
One more time.
Can you pull this for? I mean, like, it is a very telling answer to just how. I think this is 10.
Okay.
You know, I mean, Wilson Alexander's like, kind of like, one more time, coach, on the defensive backfield room. I mean, he's like, all right, look, man, this is kind of what our meetings sound like and look like. If you want a little bit of a peek behind the curtain, here's where we are from the spot of that point of view. Here's Kelly earlier this week.
And as y'all try to figure out exactly what cornerback's going to look like for the Bama game and then moving forward, of course, as well, just what kind of progress are you seeing in terms of the whole secondary playing the ball in the air and getting better in that regard?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know what our interceptions were leading in the secondary, but
he did find a positive spin.
3 interceptions in the back end of our defense. We got 2 or 3 PBUs. Clearly, against Auburn, we played really good pass defense. And then Missouri, we had, a couple of interceptions there. So I think since we've settled on a structure defensively, I think we've seen the progress necessary to say that we're playing the ball much better in the air and we're making the kind of progress necessary. And we're going to have to be in that realm to continue the kind of success that we want to have. Our safeties are going to have to make plays and our corners are going to have to continue to make plays.
Is Andre Sam your best DB right now?
No fun. Yes, absolutely.
No, that was not fun.
But yeah, Andre Sam is.
Because is he the only anybody else? Harold Perkins has an interception. Andre Sam had Major Burns,
multiple.
And then Andre Sam has multiple interceptions. I don't think anybody else is. Zy Alexander.
Deuce Chestnut had one against Florida State.
Yeah, Zy Alexander got one, but ultimately that was not worth it. Feels like.
Yeah,
last play of the half. He saw the end zone.
They need bodies. They need people to be eligible. They need people in the room, and I think whoever's in that room is going to get a chance. And somebody's going to get an extended opportunity against Alabama next Saturday night in prime time against a top 10 team.
Become an absolute legend
and
if you step up.
You can get it going, man. It is. And look, man, I see people in the chat like, Denver isn't it, Jordy. Jordy, take the Denver Harris goggles. Like, I'm not sweating Denver Harris. I'm just telling you the status of where the kid is and that they need warm bodies. And if he's there, he still may be one of the top options on the board. Am I telling you that he's an All-American and a first-round pick? No. But I'm telling you that LSU is so depleted at defensive back that they need options and bodies, and that still, I know some people don't want to hear this, he's their best cover guy. I know he's not proven to do it well. He's not had consistent opportunities all year to do that. Does everybody hear what I'm saying into the mic? I'm not telling you that Denver Harris is going to be the first pick in the draft. I'm not telling you that he's an All-American and should be their starting corner. I'm telling you right now, LSU doesn't have options. Lil Jay and I were picking up a smoothie this morning. The guy behind the counter said, "What do you think about the game next Saturday night?" And I was like, they need to find DBs, right? On the way out, I was like, they'd start Jay. He'd get a shot. And he can't play there. It's just they're looking at guys that, it's anybody. If you would have told Brian Kelly in the middle of the summer Jeremiah Hughes is going to play extended reps during the Alabama game, he'd have probably been like, we're in trouble. You're in big trouble. And that's nothing on Hughes, but it's a big spot for a true freshman. Same for Ashton Stamps. At this point, you would think that LaTerrence Welsh is ready for this opportunity. You would think that some of the DBs that have experience would be ready for this opportunity, but this is an enormous stage to continue to cut your teeth in college football on. So, that's why they look at guys like Sage Ryan and they're like, man, you've just played so much football and seen the venues, and he hadn't played that much. That he's the experienced guy out there.
Well, certainly hasn't played that much at this position. He came in as a safety. He was your other corner opposite Zy Alexander. Now he kind of slides into the one role. And that's the reason for the conversation, right? Is because if Zy Alexander's out, you start looking around the room going, you haven't played. And by haven't played, y'all haven't played corner. Everybody I turn to, Ashton Stamps is a converted safety. They just don't, they're thin in the defensive back room, and that's why this conversation continues to come up, because you're looking for warm bodies, because everybody that you got was out the transfer portal. All four, and they're gone. We're hurt.
Jason Brumfield, now it's a big spot for a freshman. We was yelling, play the young guys earlier. Yeah, so they could be ready for these games.
See how that works?
That's why you play them. So when you get here, you're not desperate and say, yo, true freshman, get in there. We're like, wow, I hadn't played all year. Yeah, well, you had great opportunities to play them against Grambling. You had great opportunities to play them earlier in the season when, you weren't getting the production from the starters, from the high-end guys. Now you're at a desperate moment where you look at them and you say, hey, yeah, now's the time. Would you rather them cut their teeth in Tuscaloosa or cut their teeth in September versus Grambling. I mean, you know, it's roster management. I mean, that's what that goes to. You know, I mean, they probably thought that they were going to have a chance to redshirt Hughes. It definitely seemed like that for Taviano. Right? I mean, for as much as we saw Taviano during the spring, early on in the season, you didn't see glimpses of him. By the 5th game of the year, you're thinking, okay, he's a redshirt. And now they're talking about him as he could be a starter. I mean, like, you think they would have liked to develop him earlier on in the season? So, yeah, I mean, look, at this point, you have to play the young guys. We were screaming play the young guys early in the year so you could have them ready for this stretch.
Then you're looking around for talent. And for the whole reason I mentioned the transfer portal is because Stewart put this together. LSU Louisiana signees at quarterback since 2019. Derek Stingley, Greg Brooks as a 2019 as a transfer, and 2022, LaTerrence Welch, Ryan Robertson, Ashton Stamps, and then the rest are 2024 commits. So that is 2, 4, 5 since 2019.
Yeah, I mean, numbers don't lie. I mean, like, yeah, it's they're in a spot. I mean, you know, we've talked about this. They're in a predicament at defensive back. I mean, they have got to either make a commitment to a recruiting plan, and they just can't keep living off the transfer portal. You know, I mean, you put all of your stock into the transfer portal in the offseason, and you're going into the biggest game of the season, and all 4 of them are sitting in a state of
limbo.
Like, it looks like you're not going to have any of them. J.K. Johnson, hurt. Zy Alexander, hurt. Deuce Chestnut, Denver Harris, not with the team. I mean, that's why you're looking at Stamps, looking at Welsh, looking at Hughes, looking at these guys and saying, you're up. Just would have been better if they would have been playing early in the season so they wouldn't have asked, you know, what's it going to be like when we get there?
Right, and I guess you were trying to still find a rotation of who the best guy is. And it felt like, what was it? Was it Stamps that came in and got a start against Ole Miss?
Stamps and Welsh.
And Welsh both got they played, at least it seemed like they played a bit more of a style that was a little bit more attacking. It didn't feel like they knew what they were doing very much, but at least they played hard, which is something that you were out there trying to tackle. And it felt like LSU had kind of figured it out. Like, you have to give, from what Brian Kelly said, you could see that they had kind of settled in on a plan. They had a structure of what they wanted to do defensively. And honestly, I thought their best look was against Missouri. Whenever you had, or no, not Missouri. It was when did Denver Harris last play? When he was coming in? Auburn. I thought that was their best look whenever he came in. And you could see his obvious passing downs, and he played on the wide side of the field, and he played man coverage. And you kind of felt like you knew what you were doing a little bit. Now you're kind of back to square one.
Somebody's going to have a great chance next Saturday night.
Absolutely.
I mean, like, really and truly. I mean, if you're a competitor, you live for this.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this is what you live for, man. I mean, somebody's going to get a chance to make a huge name next Saturday night, and I'm pulling for them, man. I really am. I'm pulling for these young guys. I think because I believe that I think LSU can get to Milroe. You know, that's not something that I've had confidence in all season long, that they can create this type of pressure. And I believe they can do it, like, internally with guys like Smith and Wingo, hopefully, if Wingo can go. Also, Jordan Jefferson's been playing really good from an interior lineman standpoint of being able to create some push. But I think that you get creative with a guy like Perkins this week. This is a great opportunity to have, in my opinion, both Perkins and packages for a guy like Whit Weeks out there who can spy Milroe, who can run with Milroe, who can keep up with him, right? Where you take away that threat that once he gets to the second progression and it's not there, his first instinct, he wants to run. I mean, like, he wants to do that. So if you have somebody back there that can just take that away from him or at least keep up with him, which I believe Whit Weeks can run with him. I really do. I mean, I think Weeks, I mean, that's the best part of his game, is that he can run. And then you've got some type of exotics for Perkins coming off the edge and creating pressure to get to him. you almost, in a sense, take the DBs out of the game. Right? I mean, like, to try and hide them as much as possible. Will you be able to do it for 4 quarters? I don't believe so. Can you do it with a game plan with the athletes that you have? Remember, Alabama's offensive line is terrible. I mean, they've given up 4 sacks a game over the last 5 games. That is horrendous. So they are vulnerable. And LSU has been playing with, I believe, enough to build some confidence and momentum going into Tuscaloosa where they believe they can create a push. And they've got enough guys with speed on the outside that they can get home. I mean, some things with Perkins here would be really cool to see from Matt House and the crew with the bye week and going into next week. Because to me, this is where he could shine. And like last year, you had to put him in the middle of the field, and he had to spy Bryce Young because he was that guy that was your best athlete, could run, and he still is that. But now you've got a secondary piece of a linebacker that can run almost as good as Perkins sideline to sideline. I mean, he's not Harold Perkins, but the speed that Weeks has sideline to sideline is going to be tough for any quarterback to outrun. And all you have to do is just slow him down so the cavalry can catch up. And if you can neutralize his running, his confidence is going to be shaky if you're being able to get to him, right? I mean, the recipe for Alabama to beat LSU or keep up with LSU offensively is to throw it over the top of them, is to throw it over their head, is to attack these DBs that are just undermanned. He's going to need a little bit of time to do that. If LSU can take that away, that's where I believe he if you take away his deep ball, he's not going to beat you underneath. I mean, he's not going to beat you throwing the ball intermediate. He's not going to beat you throwing with touch. He throws a beautiful deep ball. If you take that away from him, he's very limited throwing.
Well, and he throws the deep ball even when in spots you expect him to throw the deep ball. Like, that's what makes it, it's coming and it's still hard to stop. But you forget that LSU doesn't need to get, you don't need to hold him to 10 points. You have to get 1 or 2 stops, maybe.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
could be the recipe where you have an LSU team that's put up so many points this year. You just rely on the offense, but you just got to get off the field. If you can make them 4 of 11 on 3rd down, feel like you can win.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the beautiful part about LSU's offense.
Yeah,
it's like,
just give me 1 stop.
I mean, you just need a couple of stops because I do not believe that they can stop LSU. I mean, I don't know if anybody can. I mean, if anybody can have a good plan for them down the stretch, it feels like this would be the team. But I'm anxious to see how they try and handle that, because I just think when you look at LSU, they're just such a matchup nightmare. Mm-hmm. Nightmare. I mean, just the way they keep coming at you, and then they start to develop some of these other wide receivers, like Kyron Lacey's game a couple of weeks ago versus Auburn. Aaron Anderson's back in the lineup. Chris Hilton's back in the lineup. You know what you got in Thomas and Neighbors. Mason Taylor hopefully can use this week to get himself a little closer to full strength. But I mean, offensively, it's embarrassing how good they are and how deep they are. Really. Remember, Daily, we're brought to you by our friends over at Go Roof, GEAUXroof.com, GEAUXroof.com. Was heading down the interstate yesterday and saw a couple of Go Roof trucks. They're all over the place, man. Get in touch with them today, 225-927-8300, 225-927-8300. A beautiful roof every single time from our friends over at Go Roof. Remember, you get that 2-year free workmanship guarantee with all new roof installations. That is residential roofing, commercial roofing, roofing repairs. They can help you out with all of that. All you got to do is get in touch with the crew today. They'll jump up on the roof, diagnose any problems that you think you may have. If you think you have roof damage, if you think you got some problems up there, maybe some leaking happening, let Go Roof. Check it out. They'll work directly with the insurance company. They can take care of all of that for you. Roof repair, roof installation, or roof maintenance, they'll take care of it. Why should you work with Go Roof? It's easy. They get 15 years of experience, over 15 years of experience. They're licensed and insured. Free quotes available. As we said, they'll have a crew out to you today for a free roof inspection. All of this you can find online at geauxroof.com, geauxroof.com. 225-927-8300. 225-927-8300 is the phone number, urging you to store that into your contacts list. That way you don't have to just freak out and panic when you do have roof problems. You'll have the contact within your phone. You got it stored. Just put this under your roofer. Go Roof, 225-927-8300. It doesn't matter where you are in South Louisiana, whether you're in New Orleans, Lafayette, North Shore, Baton Rouge, Zachary, Central, Denham Springs, Baker, anywhere. Get in touch with our friends over at Go Roof, 225-927-8300, or online at geauxroof.com, geauxroof.com. Looking forward to our conversation with head coach of the LSU baseball team. Jay Johnson's going to be in studio with us in about 25 minutes. And Coach Johnson, coming off of a little bit of fall ball, we'll ask him about a couple of his transfers, including Luke Holman, the transfer from Alabama, who looks like he's going to be a dominant arm. He's got some freshmen that are in there. What's the big boy's name? Cam
Johnson,
the big lefty,
mm-hmm.
Cam Johnson, who was dealing in fall ball.
He keeps showing up on social media.
Yes, he's all over social media. Are we going to love this team too? Are we going to fall in love with this team too?
It takes baseball to start for that to happen.
Right, no doubt.
You got to romanticize the game, but it feels it might be built a little bit differently as opposed to what you had last year, where you had stars everywhere with Dylan Cruz. Obviously, you have Tommy Tanks, he's returning, and then you had some of the nostalgia, like the Cade Belosos. All those guys, like you got the mix of like Louisiana homegrown talent and then absolute superstars. This feels like it might be a little bit more defensive based, a little bit more pitching heavy, but I say all that to say Jay Johnson's an offensive guy and usually gets that thing humming. So, yeah, I'd imagine they'll be very good again this year. I just like to pump the brakes always on a repeat because it's extremely hard to do.
Yeah, no. We're going to pull the bandwagon up to Coach Johnson here at about 8 a.m. Let him know the true psycho LSU baseball fans expect nothing less
Absolutely.
than a perfect season and another ring.
We need to just warn him now.
Especially with that new contract, big boy. We're going to need more rings if you're going to be hanging out in Baton Rouge. I think he understands it. I sent him a text message as soon as I had learned the news. Congratulations, Coach. And it took him a little bit, obviously, with everything that was I'm sure, flooding into him and all of what was going on through fall ball. But when he hit me back, he said it perfectly, right? No place else I'd rather be. And that is one thing that I believe Coach Johnson has really embraced. You know, when I classify LSU baseball in the same categories that I put, you know, things like Alabama football, Kentucky basketball, LSU baseball. I mean, it feels from just an overall brand standpoint, they're recognized as some of the elite within their sports. The New York Yankees, the Dallas Cowboys, they may not be the best, but when you think about those leagues, when you think about that sport, you think about certain brands, LA Lakers, Boston Celtics, right? I mean, it just...
They're synonymous with the sport.
LSU baseball is college baseball. And to have Jay Johnson leading it just feels right. You know what I mean? Like when those jobs and when those brands have coaches like Pat Riley or Nick Saban or John Calipari or Jay Johnson, Skip Bertman, right? I mean, it just feels like those, Joe Torre, those types of personalities should be leading those types of brands. And Jay Johnson seems like a perfect fit for LSU baseball. And it was very recognizable early, but now that you've got the 2 years of data of him on the job, and just, I mean this with all due respect, the psychosis that he approaches the job with. I mean, it is a certain type of psychotic mentality,
obsession
that he has, in the sense of he does not let it breathe. He smothers the program 365 days a year with everything that you believe is anything in meaningful to building, sustaining, and competing at that level. He is, and to me, I learned more about Jay Johnson speaking to others on campus, right? Whether it was people like Cody Worsham, Will Wade, Scott Woodward, Kim Mulkey, Frank Wilson. You know, some of these alpha competitors, some of these alpha coaches, personalities, leaders that they recognize their own, right? They don't hand out compliments freely. When you ask them about certain personalities or certain people, they'll usually give you the honest to God truth of what they feel, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. You ask about Jay Johnson, or they just bring up Jay Johnson. That's the most impressive part about him, is a lot of these people, a lot of these peers around Johnson are impressed at his approach, use his style to learn from. I mean, I have been more enamored by watching Johnson's star rise and shine here in Baton Rouge than just about anything over the last couple of seasons. It's been fun to watch, man. I mean, somebody who truly respects, honors, obsessed over the job, and gives it everything every day and sees what it comes out. I mean, some of those press conferences in Omaha, you think back, and Johnson like getting to the microphone after some of those wins, and him being like, "I just told the guys that was the best moment of my life." You're like he ain't lying. Like, I mean, you could see it. Like, he was like, I mean, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me in my life. And then when you kind of dig in and learn who he is, he's got no kids. He's obsessed about the sport. He and his wife are two committed administrators in intercollegiate athletics. They just have lived a committed life to this, and seeing it kind of
play out in real time,
blossom right in front of your face. And the coolest part about it is that it's early. Like, it's just getting started. I mean, like, it's his second year in. He's got one of the best teams that's ever played the sport already on the books with a ring. So it's cool, man. I'm looking forward to it. Got some news yesterday in recruiting as well. Keelan Moses has announced his commitment date. I know some of you are inside the chat talking about that. I saw it on social media. Moses made the announcement. He's going to make his commitment on November 30th, which is his birthday. And it will be interesting. Everybody's going to be interested to hear where the next future 5-star headliner out of University High here in Baton Rouge is going to pledge. A lot of people believe LSU is the trending school. LSU's done a tremendous job of making him feel important. I know that. I know that the entire staff has really approached him. And look, this is one that still leaves a bitter taste in Frank Wilson's mouth from a couple of years ago, where LSU had Dylan Moses committed for 3.5 years. He was committed to the program. And, you know, things fell apart at the end. And Frank Wilson did a lot of work in putting that recruitment together, maintaining, sustaining that recruitment, and watching it fall apart while he was the head coach at Texas San Antonio is something that, you know, really, to a recruiter of his level, crushed him. And I can tell you that he is a top priority of Frank Wilson. He has been made the importance of his being in the class and being a part of LSU, what it means to the program. And I would really be shocked if it was not LSU here. I think that LSU's just done a tremendous job of letting him know where he stands. And, you know, really, I can tell you just from knowing the family a bit, not much, but just knowing people around the family, and have covered Dylan's career at U-High, have watched Keelan grow up, and even Emmanuel, the youngest brother, has even been on our show. I mean, when he was in 8th grade. They understand the importance of community. They understand the importance of Louisiana and Baton Rouge. Dylan Moses' experience at Alabama while on the football field was everything we thought it was going to be. Moses was he was a Dick Butkus Award finalist his sophomore season. I believe he led the country or maybe the conference in tackles that season. This is when Devin White was at LSU, and Devin White was the best linebacker in college football too. They were right there, neck and neck. But Moses played his entire junior season on a bum knee and came back for his senior season and tried to rough it through and ended up leaving Alabama without an ACL, pretty much. I mean, he got to the combine and got to evaluations, and no NFL team was ready to put a draft pick on what they were looking at medically. He got picked up by Jacksonville. I think he went through a couple of sessions and went through training camp and just he couldn't keep up anymore, man, just from his body not being able to adjust and rehab after a sawed down knee from his college experience where he gave Alabama football everything he could and more. And for that, he now lives in Baton Rouge with his family and is living a good life with his beautiful family. But in the same sense, that message that he was sold of LSU not being a 4-year choice, it's a 40-year choice. What does that mean? Well, now Moses Dylan understands that part of the message with clarity and is able to look at his younger brother, and his younger brother is able to see what that means to Dylan. And I'm not saying that Dylan has any regret. I don't know that. I've never heard that. Nobody's ever said that to me from his point of view. But outside looking in, that is what the message is intended to hit on, is that, yes, they expect when you're there, you're on campus, you're a part of the program, you're giving everything you can, you sacrifice injury, you sacrifice what could be a professional career, but you give the program everything you do. And if that happens and you're not able to go on and, create that income or create that life that you thought football would provide for you, well, the program's going to take care of you. And I think that's something that Brian Kelly has been enormous in bringing back to LSU, or maybe even really bringing to LSU for the first time. One of the things that Verge Alsbury learned in having two recruitable athletes over the last 5 years, if you remember, his son, Austin and Jaden Alsbury, are now playing for Auburn and Notre Dame, respectively, were two high recruits, right? Austin was kind of a 3-star recruit. Jaden Alsbury was a 4-star. Some services had him a 5-star. Last year in a cycle that Louisiana had with a ton of talent, he was top on the board in a lot of, think about last year's cycle. Shelton Sampson and all those guys coming out. Jaden Alsbury was right there. He's now up at Notre Dame. But one of the things that Verge Alsbury was able to see in taking these recruiting visits with his sons, is you're going on, he went to Ohio State, he went to Bama, he went to Georgia, he went to Florida State, he went to Texas, he went to Texas A&M, all the blue bloods, Clemson, he went to everybody who was anybody in college football wanted Jaden Alsbury. So they took all the trips. They went and saw it all. And one of the things that Verge Alsbury brought back to LSU was that they were doing a poor job of alumni relations, of taking care of their players, of taking care of their guys, taking care of the guys that have, built the program. So Verge really kind of got the ball rolling on that. And then when Brian Kelly got here, Notre Dame has a reputation of being the best in the country at that. At one of the best in the country of that, of taking care of their former players, of taking care of all their guys. So Kelly saw that, that was a void in the program. And now over the last year and a half, one of the things that, I have learned in doing Football Fridays, where you get these legends back into a room, is that the alumni relations has sincerely improved. And our guy, Nick Brissett, deserves a lot of credit on that, but the program deserves a lot of credit as well. Brian Kelly has put a lot of emphasis on that, and I think that's a recruiting message that hits. It's not just taking care of the alumni now. Now the current players look at that knowing with a sense of security that if it doesn't work out, like example, you remember Marcus Lattimore, running back, South Carolina? At one point, Lattimore was a projected top 15 pick. He was the number one running back in the country when he was coming out of his recruiting cycle. He was from South Carolina. Everybody in the country went to wanting, I think it came down to South Carolina and Alabama. He chose South Carolina, stayed at home, gave his career, he had great memories, great moments, had a great time on campus. His last year there, he had one of the most gruesome knee injuries you will ever see on a football field. His knee exploded against Tennessee. It was the same type of injury that Nick Chubb suffered a couple of weeks back in the NFL. If you have not seen it and you want just a peek at something that's just a bad injury, man. I mean, if you've already eaten breakfast, go check it out. It's bad. But Lattimore is now what they call, I guess would be like an influencer on South Carolina's campus, right? Where he's a spokesperson. He's walks around on game day, shakes hands, he takes pictures, he's wearing the brand. It's kind of like what Steve Spurrier is at Florida. These ambassadors. Kevin Falk is now that at LSU. I mean, Falk is hired at LSU to do what? To be Kevin Falk. That's what he does. Go walk around, shake hands, take pictures, wear the LSU polo, smile for the camera, tell them about the Notre Dame game, tell them about the Houston game, tell them about your experiences. Keep people smiling when you talk about LSU. And y'all are going to pay me for that? Hell yeah, you're going to get paid for that. Well, why? Because you gave everything you had to the program your 4 years here. You gave your body. You gave your blood. You gave your passion. So when Kevin Falk tells Keelan Moses, hey, man, you're from Louisiana? Don't go anywhere else. Stay home. Because when it's over and the crowd stops cheering and nobody's showing up to the games to watch you play or care about what you're wearing or care about what who you're hanging out with, LSU's got your back. And they'll make sure and take care of you. And I think for a guy like Keelan Moses, when he looks in his living room and he sees his older brother, who was at one point the number one recruit in college football, the biggest story in college football, give his life, his body, his passion, his love to the University of Alabama, and now he's living back in Baton Rouge in Louisiana and still living a good life. Not saying that that's bad, just in the sense of you can't just pick up the phone and say, hey, man, I'm going to be at the game this Saturday. For that to happen, you got to travel, you got to get a hotel room, it's not home. And when it's home, it hits different. And when the message is being sold that, hey, it's not just a 3-4 year decision, 5-year decision that you're making. It's a 50-year decision. I think for a guy like Keelan Moses, I think it hits a little different, man. Really, I mean, I think it's a guy that sees it firsthand. He looks at it, he knows it, he's got firsthand account of what that means. So I look for good news for LSU on November 30th. Keelan Moses' announcement. I saw that come across social media yesterday. I think LSU's done a tremendous job of keeping themselves relevant through this the entire time. Remember, we're brought to you daily by Katie's Restaurant, online at katiesinmidcity.com. Been around since 1984. Katie's is located on Iberville Street down in the heart of New Orleans, and you can pick up New Orleans favorites on the menu. You can also get some St. Louis-style pizza. They got the coldest beer in town. You can find them there, katiesinmidcity.com, katiesinmidcity.com. As we said, started in 84. Great spot. Sunday hours, 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. is where you can find them now. They got 6 new televisions on the back porch so you can watch, upstairs where you can keep up with all of the games, whether you want to watch the game pregame, postgame, or you want to check out the games there. They got the TVs for you. It's a great spot to watch the game. Online, katiesinmidcity.com. katiesinmidcity.com is where you can find them online. And tell them that you heard it right here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Hour 2, we're coming back. Jay Johnson, who's the LSU head baseball coach, is going to be here. Chris Blair, who is the voice of the Tigers, is going to be here at 8:15, so don't go away. Our second hour is coming right at you. We are live here on our Click Here digital campus. Make sure and give us a like, share, comment before you get out of here. We're looking to get about 100 likes an hour, so if you have not hit that thumbs up, go ahead and do that for us before this first hour wraps up. And if you are watching and not subscribed, hit that subscription button for us if you don't mind as well. Hit that bell and you'll know when we go live, just like we do every Sunday here following each Saturday's game. So we'll be off this Sunday. We'll take the bye with the boys and take off this Sunday, but we'll be back with you following the Bama game next Sunday for sure. Hour 2 next. Come back with us. Jordy Culotta Show, built by R&B Builders.
Staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Thanks. And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Hey Tiger fans, when you're traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, make sure to visit Tom and Wright Granning at Go Mart and On The Go Deli, where you can fill up your tank and your belly. Go Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you may need on your trip. Located at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left. Also stop by Wardo's Po' Boys at 309 North Broadway on the beautiful Natchez Bluff, where the Po' Boys are so good you'll swear you're in Cajun country.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Let's be special. Let's be strong. Let's spell greatness from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
A real passion of mine is ACL injuries, but not just really in the treatment of ACL injuries, but how do we keep them from happening? So right here at Ochsner, we're doing some research studies on ACL injury prevention. We're working with some of our high schools, and we're testing different functional tests for athletes. And we're trying to identify people that are at risk for ACL tears. We're trying to catch them before those ACLs happen. And then we want to intervene with some injury prevention programs. And that's something that, being part of Ochsner Andrews Institute, we can continue on that research. We can expand the impact of that research. We can bring that to more athletes in our community.
If you're in the market for a mortgage lender, you need to start with Doug Bickley and his team. Bickley has built a crew with over 50 years of combined lending experience. They've been in business for over 20 years, and they love helping their clients achieve the American dream of home ownership. They're also key with working in real estate agents and helping their clients getting same-day pre-approval. They average about one buyer a day getting them in a home. If you want to get in touch with Doug and his crew, it's easy. Call them 225-214-5154. 225-214-5154. Go see the Bickley team today. They're located on the corner of Coursey Boulevard and Sherwood Forest right here in Baton Rouge.
What's up?
What's happening?
Chilling with a couple of cool guys. You?
Chilling and watching some tube. Hold on.
Did you do it?
Hold on. Did you do it?
Roof's up.
Hold on.
Roof's up?
Roof's up!
Roof's up!
Hold on. Hold on. Hold on.
Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
You can't put the cart before the horse. That'd be like, will you marry me?
Do I know you?
Never sign a contract with a roofer before he gets on your roof. Call Go Roof instead. We offer a free, no-obligation inspection. A beautiful roof every single time. Bobby, goes in the front.
Roof, roof, Go Roof.
Offensive player of the game from LSU, Joe Burrow.
Football is life, man. Football is Joe Burrow.
Click Here Digital, the home of the Jordy Culotta Show. Online at clickheredigital.com. If you're looking to set Google ads, set social media campaigns, learn about SEO, display video, or even creative, Click Here Digital has the answer for you. Online at clickheredigital.com or email me directly, Jordy at clickheredigital.com.
Well, the Auctioner Andrews Sports Medicine Institute collaborative effort was an idea from Dr. Andrews and myself to bring together two great names, the Andrews name and the Auctioner name, to elevate the quality of care for athletes in the state of Louisiana, where he's from.
I always thought I would come back to Louisiana and practice orthopedics with my subspecialty being sports medicine. This was an opportunity through Auctioners to come back and work the entire state to help develop and take sports medicine to a new level.
As an orthopedic surgeon, what this means in the future in terms of, access for our community to the type of care that Dr. Andrews pioneered, words can't describe how valuable that is.
Auctioner has a great opportunity here to really grow, and Dr. Burnham, of course, is the mainstay of making that happen. If you want to have first-class sports medicine care, check in with Dr. Burnham and his group, and you'll be more than impressed and pleased.
All right, welcome back here to a Thursday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, live here from our Click Here Digital campus. We'll be joined by Coach Jay Johnson when he
gets over here this morning. Looking forward to catching up with Coach Johnson here as the offseason wrapping up. NBA getting going as well. Pelicans debut last night. A nice night for the Pellies as they get a win against Memphis. Not bad for Zion in the opening night. I'm not going to fall for the...
I can't. Yeah, don't fall for it.
I'm not falling for it. 111-104 winners last
nasty.
night. I mean, the step back in the middle of the lane. 32 minutes, 23 points for Zion last night. In his action, Brandon Ingram was back on the floor for the Pellies as well. He went 36 minutes and 19. He gave you a big night for C.J. McCollum as he had 24 points last night, but the Pels look pretty good. Pretty good. I don't know this dude, Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
Who is this guy, dude? 9
thought he
points
retired.
for Matty last night.
3 for
1
3?
board, 1 assist. Plus 20 while he's on the floor. I guess we can pull for a Matt Ryan in South Louisiana.
Did you see the Saints tweet that they put out? It was pretty good. I'll pull it up. But it was they put like obviously Matt Ryan with the Saints, the Falcons. They did the I think it was Cam Jordan's face like peeking over, like, what are we talking about here? And so they obviously work in the same building, so easy for them to do. But it was funny. But anything the Saints do right now, I'm just not on board with.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Saints feel very old.
It feels
done.
It feels done.
Feels like you got to blow it up.
That's what I'm saying. If the
Saints, really does.
If the Saints are first in the South, I don't think Olave gets pulled over. I don't think it's an and.
That's right.
I play for the Saints.
Yeah,
and
right.
like y'all get it together then.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to pull you over and tell you you've been playing great.
Yeah.
Keep speeding, my boy.
Exactly. Godly.
But no, I'm with you, man. The Saints feel very stale. Feel very.
I hate to say I told you so. And
Yeah,
then, the thing
so did I.
The thing that's so frustrating
I wasn't biting the car.
No,
bait.
I don't think so either. But the thing that's so frustrating is, like, you're wasting an Alvin Kamara, whatever.
Ugh.
Like, you have
That's
Michael.
why I deal him, and I'm being respectful to Alvin Kamara. Really, while you can still get capital for him, and while he can still contribute to a contender, to a winner, like he has paid his dues in New Orleans, man. He has done.
I don't think he wants to go anywhere.
Possibly, but I mean, like, if he wants to go win, this does not feel like the place over the next couple of years. Like, the Saints may be able, like, it feels like the Saints are gonna have like a top 5 pick.
They could, and I don't even know where you would spend it. Like, you can't. Do you draft a quarterback? Okay. Yeah, and like I was saying, I don't know if you take a quarterback. So hopefully we can have. I don't think Jay Johnson has any opinions on. On the Saints.
Now let me take a real quick break, and we'll reset real quick, and we'll have Jay Johnson when we come back.
Wide receiver.
Favorite pregame meal?
Popeyes.
What would winning a national championship mean to you?
It would mean a lot to me because, we seen a lot of the greats come through here, won their national championship, got, remembered for life.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Probably fly. That or telekinesis.
What's the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Do it wrong, do it long, do it right, do it light.
Kyra Lisa, wide receiver, number 2.
Do you have any nicknames?
K2.
What's the best piece of advice that you've ever been given?
Stay humble.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Fly. I be flying in my dreams.
What's been the highlight of your partnership with us?
The bike giveaway was one of the best things. I was pretty excited about that one. Texas A&M, I just got a point to prove because last year I dropped 2 balls I should have caught. I'm coming for them for real.
That's it. Thank you, man.
My name is Harold Perkins, and I play linebacker.
What's your favorite pre-game meal or snack?
Pasta with a little steak, something that's not too heavy.
Any superstitions or pre-game rituals?
I pray a lot. Just be me and God before the game. Perky worky. I like when they call me the percolator. I like that.
If anyone gets in a wreck, who should they call?
Gore.
Thanks. Where were you born at, Greg?
Hattiesburg, Mississippi. But I claim 504 food because I was raised there my whole life. Favorite type of food is spaghetti. But you need to try spaghetti with some corn on the side. Funniest person, I'd probably get Kyron Lacey. He be having me joked out every time I talk to him.
Who's the most athletic?
Besides myself, Perk or Malik. future self, just take one day at a time, one step at a time. If you're doing something, just be where your feet are. Make sure you give 100% effort.
What is something on your bucket list?
Win a Super Bowl. That's definitely on my bucket list.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Time traveling.
Who's the fastest on the team?
Like in a short span, I would say quick trigger, I'm taking perk. One thing most people don't know about me, probably that I moved 12 times growing up, 12 different states.
Who's the most savage on the team?
Mason Smith. Mason Smith, definitely.
And who gets it done?
Gordon.
Thank you, man. That's great.
Yeah, it's the first year it's been
Jones,
like flop.
right tackle.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Got it from my mom, and she just told me,
Yeah.
always keep your head on the swivel.
Favorite subject?
Math, easy. I kind of keep it light. Give me some type of red beans or something like that. Throw a little cornbread on the side.
Light with red beans.
Yeah, just a little bit. I am superstitious. I got some PSDs that's purple and yellow and white. I wear them every game. I feel like they my lucky draws, and you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep doing it.
Head health is incredibly important for our student athletes. One of the best ways we're trying to address concussions is on the front end. We're trying to prevent these before they happen. And a big part of that is speaking to the athletes, letting them know what to expect. Okay, speaking to the parents, what to look out for, talking to the coaches so they know the vital importance. Some of the big things we're looking for with a concussion, which is, a traumatic brain injury, is one, was there a mechanism? Was there an injury that took place that could lead to this? Often a direct blow to the head, a head-to-head hit. If someone's showing signs of concussion, our first step is always to remove them from activity, get them to a place where there's less stimuli, where we can really just sit down and get a feel for the athlete, what they're feeling. We're looking for headache, we're looking for dizziness, any sign that coordination is off, that something's just not right. Get a good evaluation of them to understand what's going on. It's not worth the risk that may be there to kind of ignore it, because there are very serious consequences if we don't treat a concussion properly.
Welcome back here. Jordy Culotta Show is always built by our friends at RMB Builders. All right, as we said, looking forward to our next guest coming in this morning. We appreciate Coach finding the new studio and getting in with us here on this Thursday morning, as right in the square heart of fall ball. So lots to talk to with the reigning national champ head coach, and it's good to see you this morning, Coach. Good morning.
Jordy, how you doing?
Good to see you, man. I asked you this right before we went on, but just for our listeners, I'd imagine here in just the short time of celebrating the championship, life is different now a little bit as you just kind of get out and see the city and see the world recruiting LSU baseball. How is it?
Yeah, it's amazing. I think it's just our fans are unbelievable. And just yesterday, a fan brought his 2 grandkids by and literally was just 30 seconds, just wanted to say thank you for the team and the season and what you did. And how much it means to everybody here is truly what makes LSU special.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach, since the championship, you've been able to bring in a couple of new faces, even, not we'll get to the players, but from a coaching standpoint, what has been the transition for Coach Yeski and guys like Coach Rooney is that Coach Rooney's come back?
Yeah, phenomenal. Obviously having some history with both of them, with Nate being our pitching coach at Arizona for 2 years. One was COVID, and the other year we went to Omaha. Yeah. And I think knowing what to expect out of that position, because that position is so important. The pitching coach is the offensive line coach in football. Like, if that unit's not right, it doesn't work. And he is a terrific communicator. And I think we have a very talented pitching staff that he will mix well with, blend well with, and you can already see it. The pitching clearly has the upper hand, in the fall right now, which is with your better teams, that's the way it should be, at the outset. And that's certainly the case. So really excited about how that's going. And Terry Rooney, I've been trying to hire this guy for like 4 years over 2 different schools, and just a tremendous amount of respect, the work ethic part of it, the communication part of it, the intensity. My view of assistant coaches or staff members, when they have the same ownership in the success of the program that I do, then you have a real winner. And that's how I feel about both Nate and Terry.
It's interesting talking to guys at your level, coaches at your level, after the big win. how you keep that edge, and do you change anything of prior to the win, because it seems like it's such a different type of hunger. You're coming off of that. How is that preparation? How is it maybe similar or different to before?
It's a good question. I think I came to LSU honestly because I believed we could get what maybe you would say or call more bites at the apple. It wasn't just a one-shot lightning in a bottle type deal for me. And, I think every team is its own entity, has different challenges. And we've talked about that. Like, I want to be respectful and mature of the guys that were a part of last year. So, like, when we have a ring ceremony here in a couple weeks and get honored at the football game, like, we should be all in on celebrating that because it's super hard to do. For me, though, that's 1% of what's going on, and 99% is moving forward, whether that be recruiting the team, engaging in like what we need to do to continue to push ourselves forward. So to be honest, it really isn't all that different. And for me, I think that's probably a really good sign.
Yeah. Speaking of football, how big of an advantage is that for your program?
Yeah, it's awesome. As we were just talking about, do you bring recruits in a non-conference game or an SEC game? They're all awesome. And, we're such an explosive, fun team to watch this year, too. I mean, Jaden Daniels, best player in the country. I remember, when Coach Kelly brought him in a couple years ago, like that, I was like, ooh, that's a big one. Like, that's a big deal, seeing him in the Pac-12 for his first 3 years of college. It's just such a good product, and it's exciting. They put themselves in contention, and biggest game of the year every year is the biggest game of the year again, and that's pretty awesome.
Right. It seems like for you, from a recruiting standpoint, Coach, it's relentless, right? I mean, it seems like that's one of the things that you really value at the job and put a ton of stock into. Again, I would ask you the same question. How is that message changed, or how is that maybe the view of the program changed when you walk into the room now?
It changes for sure. And I think there was a natural draw because it was LSU. Bright lights, history, tradition of program, all those types of things. And when we got here 2 years ago, at least with our staff, we were only selling a vision of what it would be.
Right.
Now, everything is tangible. Yeah. National championship, Omaha. I mean, we shattered the record for signing bonuses for one team in the MLB draft. They've been close to $24 million. Yeah. And I'm super proud of that because that's what we're selling. We're selling a path to professional baseball and developing players. And I always want the winning to be a byproduct of developing players.
It's got to be a huge message to sell, maybe even like you don't even have to say it when they walk into the building. Skeens is there, your crew is there. I mean, it seems like there's a lot of buy-in from everyone on just what it means to be a part of it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, you can talk about, professional baseball alums and major leaguers, and I mean, just look at the postseason,
Yeah, absolutely.
Nola, Bregman, Josh Smith, in the World Series, super awesome for him. I have, two pitchers on the Diamondbacks played for me, and then they're all here. Like, we had a recruiting weekend like 2 weeks ago. I think it was the Auburn game, and completely unscripted. Like, we were walking a couple guys around the stadium on Friday morning, and walk in there, and Paul Gervais is in there, Kate Doty's in there, Jordan Thompson is in there. Pretty special, that they all, Paul Skeens, they all want to be here during this time, and this is where they want to train, and I think that's a great sign of things.
Skeens, the number one player in the transfer portal last year. You land him. He turns out to be the best player in the sport. You go out and grab another headline pitcher this year in Luke Holman. It seems like the early return on just seeing him early has been very high. What have you made of him?
Yeah, I love Luke. When we were preparing to face him last year, and I watched a ton of video on the pitcher and previous starts, and I walked down the hall and grabbed Jamie Tutko, who's scouting and analytics, and I said, "Hey man, this guy's really good. Like this is gonna be a tough game," and that's saying a lot for our lineup last year. I mean, I view it as the best offense in college
27
baseball.
Yankees.
Yeah, right. I do. I feel that way about our hitters last
doubt.
year. But watching him, I was like, man, this guy's pretty good. He obviously didn't end up pitching against us. And then it was like, I mean, he went in the portal, and I was like, wait a minute, that's the guy. That's the guy. And so we spent a lot of effort in recruiting him. People always ask me about the transition from the championship. It was like, well, we won on Monday. We flew home on Tuesday, had the celebration on Wednesday. I met with our team on Thursday and Friday, like individual meetings, and then I went to see Luke and his dad on Saturday morning, as that was the clear number one target. And just high pitch ability, really has great feel. His dad was a professional pitcher for a long time, and you could tell he's just one of those guys that's baseball.
Yeah.
You know, he's a good athlete, really spins a breaking ball, throws strikes. I mean, it's just an assault on the strike zone when he takes the mound, and he's going to be really valuable for us.
It seems like every year your offense is there, man. I think that people kind of they realize that when they show up to the park that LSU is going to hit. This year, the pitching staff feels a lot deeper and a lot better put together, a sense of just functionality. What is that group? What's the intent there? Because it seems like you got a lot of options.
Yeah, and you know, to be perfectly honest, it's pretty one-sided right now when you come to our practices. But the 3 times I've been to Omaha, it was kind of like that at this point in the year. And I think if you're banging your own pitching around, you have a ceiling as a team. And so I'm excited about that. The other part of it was, I mean, we were so intentional of ramping up the talent level from the second we got here. And, you know, really invested a lot from a scholarship standpoint on the pitching side of it. And what I like about it, there's now impact. You know, obviously Thatcher Hurd, I mean, great season last year, 8 wins, 4 saves, ton of experience in Omaha. You mentioned Luke Holman, Gage Jump, you know, who we got out of the transfer portal. Not a lot of people are talking about because he missed last year because of Tommy John. Huge impact. Then you got some guys that really came along, you know, last year, Griffin Herring, Gavin Guidry, Nate Ackenhausen, and then a really good group of freshmen, you know, Cameron Johnson, Cade Anderson, Jake Brown. So it's really good and for the now, but I think we're set up for the next couple years also because of the intentfulness in recruiting that side of it.
How much do you look at the side of the arm in recruiting? Do you look at the balance? Do you say, I want dominant left? Do I want dominant, or I want to be well balanced here?
You know, all I try to do as a young coach is just pay attention to what the best people do. And, you know, whether it's Skip Burtman and motivational stuff and those types of things. I got a chance to talk to Augie Garrido as a really young coach, and he talked about the importance of left-handed pitching and left-handed hitting.
Seem to have taken that to heart.
Championship teams. Well, yeah, let's just call it like, I mean, I love my man Riley Cooper. But, like, I mean, that first year, he was pretty much doing it all himself, you know. So it's like, let's get the guys some help. And obviously, look at the impact last year, you know, and you look at the postseason run, you know, Nate Ackenhausen, Griffin Herring, Riley. I mean, those guys really stepped up and allowed us to match up. And so the balance piece of that is really important.
Yeah. From the building of the team, where are you? How do you view the team right now? I mean, is it still a clay? Is it still kind of like a piece of clay?
Yeah, I mean, my feeling is, you know, this time of year, we're not ready to go play a game. And in the fall, you know, some valuable lessons I got early on were like, don't try to do everything all at once. It's almost kind of like cut it in half and try to master the half that you're doing. And so that's what we'll do here for these remaining 3.5 weeks that we have. Get a good foundation set, and then when we come back in January, really be able to pick up and go. But we're moving guys around, you know, different positions, just to open up, you know, the potential or the elevate the ceiling of the team if we can. But it's more about teaching and foundation and not skipping steps in our process.
Coach, I would say, you know, brands and leagues kind of correlate with one another. NFL, I think Cowboys, NBA, I think Lakers, Celtics, college basketball, I think Kentucky, college baseball, I think LSU, right? And you being the head coach just really makes sense in the way that you feel about the job, the history of the sport, the way that you approach it, the commitment that the administration made to you a couple of weeks back, I know means a ton. I sent you a congratulations, and you sent back immediately, this is the only place I want to be. What has this relationship been like? And obviously going forward, it looks like it's going to be here to last.
Yeah, I mean, I want to be here. I mean, this is the job that I want to have forever, you know, honestly.
Yeah.
The fans I mentioned, like, I mean, they're unbelievable. Like, I mean, we came home from Omaha, our whole house was decorated, you know, people popping by the office, just the gratitude. And I felt it in the first year. Now, we didn't win the national championship, but I feel like LSU fans are very smart. And like the appreciation for work ethic, attention to detail, what we were trying to do, like that was there, you know, and feeling really supported. And then obviously winning a championship, that takes it to another level. And they show up. I mean, the inter-squad game last Sunday, I mean, you look up and go like, this would be great attendance for like 70% of the country in the season. That part's awesome. And then, you know, Scott Woodward is the best. Like, totally invested. You know, I've referenced this before, but, you know, he'll be calling me 2 and 3 times a week. And I don't think there's that many ADs out there that care about college baseball the way that he does. And, yeah, fans, administrative support, support staff. Like, I mean, we're in a really, really good spot.
Woodward has to be a great resource because he was around during the Skip era, right?
Yes.
I mean, like he was kind of like probably at the height of his fandom during that time in seeing that up close.
No doubt, and you can feel it. You know what I mean? I think he has a great appreciation for what this means to LSU, not just the athletic department, but to LSU and the state of Louisiana. And that's reflected in our communication, and I'm very grateful for that. It just, you know, I had a friend who's in sports media actually used to joke with me that college baseball is just a channel changer. You know, it's not a channel changer at LSU. We're the main station, and
well, it is a channel changer, just in a different way. It is to go find it.
That's right. There's not any place like it as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. The league. Obviously, I mean, the national championship speaks for itself. What is the expectation that this part of, like, you see those guys everywhere? You're recruiting, I'm sure. What is the league like now here for you in year 3 as you enter it?
Yeah, and I referenced this last year at the end of the season. Like, I think the SEC has become the moon to college baseball. Like, it's not even the same thing in terms of the support, the resources, the attention, you know, that our programs are getting, you know, within their own athletic departments and nationally. And it's the ultimate competition. And I mean that with the greatest respect for everybody else. It's just nobody is keeping up. And I don't know if it's like the impact of the transfer portal, the intensity of the coaches in the leagues. I just view it as best players, best environments, best fan bases, most attention. It's drawing the best players in the country and just continuing to separate itself.
Adjusted to the new rules. I say new rules, but like the way that the game is approached now. I mean, it's changed while you've been a coach. How has that adjustment been?
You just have to do it. I mean, like people ask me my opinion all the time, and I really don't have an opinion. It's like, tell me what the rules are and how can we best use them to create an advantage for LSU. And try not to waste time on worrying about it. I was very concerned, like on the field, like the clock thing, because tempo in the game is super important part of like my belief in how baseball should be played. But it really was a non-factor, you know, last year.
You were a football player growing up. But you're obsessed. You're an obsessive baseball coach. Do you watch like college football? Do you keep up with this stuff?
I do. I do actually. Okay. It's the one thing that I do. Okay. I don't have any hobbies. I mean, my hobby is to rest when I have 2 kids.
Right.
But part of that is watching college football and super engaged and, you know, really excited. Like we were talking about our team, and I think they're really well positioned to finish the year strong.
Yeah. It's always great to see you. Thank you as always for your time. Keep up the hard work, and I guess this weekend is probably pretty cool. Off weekend for the baseball team. For the football team, you guys will be out there.
We'll be out there
recruiting. So
yes, it's our time.
That's right.
Yeah,
good to see you.
Awesome. Thanks, Jordy.
Yes, sir. There he is, Jay Johnson, LSU head baseball coach. We'll be back. The voice, Chris Blair, is here. We'll keep it rolling here on the Jordy Culotta Show, as always, built by RMB.
Don't let concerns about shifts in the market disrupt your long-term financial goals. Edward Jones financial advisor Daniel Newman can help. He'll work with you on an investment strategy for long-term results. Edward Jones can give you the tools and knowledge for a steady approach to hitting your financial targets. Get started today by calling Daniel Newman at 225-261-8262. 225-261-8262. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Belmont Stakes Race Training. I'm sticking to roofing.
Roof, roof, go roof.
Phil's Oyster Bar, a staple of South Louisiana since 1945, located in Southdowns Shopping Center and online at philsoysterbar.com. If you log online, you can learn about the private party schedule, the catering menu, and even order online. Daily lunch specials Monday through Friday. Learn about the history when Gus Piazza took it over in the early 70s, made it an absolute stop-in for everyone who came through Baton Rouge, and now Anthony, his son, carrying on the tradition. Phil's Oyster Bar, Southdowns Shopping Center, and online, philsoysterbar.com.
All right, buddy. Make it a good shot. Oh, yeah. Sticking the roofing.
For a hole in your roof, or a whole new roof, go roof. Roof, roof, go roof.
As primary care sports physicians, the things we think about the most with our athletes from a medical standpoint usually involves the head, the climate, and the heart. We have to be very careful about participating in sports when it is safe, but also having the proper equipment to take care of them if we are worried about the athletes. So here in Louisiana, obviously heat can be a big problem. Things that I think about as a primary care sports medicine physician is that it's safe enough for our athletes to participate. And there are certain regulations that we follow here at Ochsner, but throughout the entire state, to make sure it is safe for our athletes to participate. When we think about concussion, we have to really recognize those symptoms from the forefront, and that becomes a cultural issue as well. As for the heart, screening exams are by far the most important thing that we can think about. We go through a series of questions, but also listen to the athlete's heart and ask about family history and other symptoms they may have had in the past. By doing so, we can identify and potentially screen out athletes to make sure that they are safe to participate in the sports that they love to do.
Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Thanks.
And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Hey Tiger fans, when you're traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, make sure to visit Tom and Wright Granning at Go Mart and On The Go Deli, where you can fill up your tank and your belly. Go Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you may need on your trip. Located at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left. Also stop by Wardo's Po' Boys at 309 North Broadway on the beautiful Natchez Bluff, where the Po' Boys are so good you'll swear you're in Cajun country.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Let's be special. Let's be strong. Let's spell greatness from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
A real passion of mine is ACL injuries, but not just really in the treatment of ACL injuries, but how do we keep them from happening? So right here at Ochsner, we're doing some research studies on ACL injury prevention. We're working with some of our high schools, and we're testing different functional tests for athletes. And we're trying to identify people that are at risk for ACL tears. We're trying to catch them before those ACLs happen. And then we want to intervene with some injury prevention programs. And that's something that, being part of Ochsner Andrews Institute, and we can continue on that research. We can expand the impact of that research. We can bring that to more athletes in our community.
All right, welcome back here. Appreciate Coach Jay Johnson stopping by here live on this Thursday morning. The Jordy Culotta Show, as always, brought to you by Hughes Mechanical Contractors. Check out Travis Hughes and the crew online, hughesmechanical.net, as they are a trusted Daikin dealer and can help you out with your air conditioning from the North Shore to Lafayette, everywhere in between in South Louisiana. hughesmechanical.net online. All right, that was cool conversation with Jay Johnson and the voice every Thursday morning here with us on the Jordy Culotta Show. Kind enough to go a little later this morning after our combo went a little deep with Coach Jay. Chris, good morning. How are you?
I'm good, man. Jay's always a great opening act. Always appreciate that.
Right.
Gets the crowd going, gets everybody fired up. So
now for the main event, live from Carriages.
No, it's good to see. It was good to see Coach, man. Yeah. I mean, it's funny because I ask him, you know how you do when you run into somebody, you always just immediately have some catchphrases like what you up to or how you been or whatever.
What's going on?
He goes, working. I'm like, that kind of makes sense. That sounds
that's what
like
I hear about you.
That's what I would expect.
So the rumors are true.
Yes, it is.
Do you get a bye weekend or are you working?
Well, I mean, it's not a game week, but you know, this is when Clash season starts. Basketball starts. We got women's basketball, the reigning national champs. Little exhibition tonight, so getting everything ready for Patrick, who will be on the call for, I'm losing count now. I don't know if it's 32, 33, 34 years.
Wow.
But super happy for him, getting a national championship last year and incredible call in Dallas. And so he's excited, as we all are, for this coming year. So we'll get him ready for tonight. And then we've got Monday exhibition with men's basketball. So kind of, it was a lighter week, but we're getting everything ready. Like football is a big build-up. That takes pretty much the month of August.
Yeah.
Basketball is usually about a 2-week deal. And then this year it's the first exhibition game that's been open to the public for men's basketball in quite a while.
Yeah.
So that kind of sped things up for us. But so it hadn't been a completely off week, but I haven't worn myself out.
You have you've got experience calling games with the armed forces.
Yeah.
What was last weekend like? That seemed pretty cool. LSU took it very serious, it looked like.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, it's I think Coach Kelly, at least talking to him, kind of understood that there's a lot of things around the game that we love about college football. I mean, next time LSU plays in Tuscaloosa, the pageantry of college football will be on full display in prime time.
I know.
And eyeballs across the country are going to be watching it. And even though on paper LSU the heavy favorite, and they certainly delivered on Saturday, they still were able to get a lot of the pageantry because you're talking about two programs that have a major impact on the growth of the sport. I mean, let's face it, at one time Army was one of the programs, with Heisman candidates, Heisman winners, and national championships.
Staubach.
Yeah, and that was down the road years ago. But you still, as I said on the broadcast, both of these programs are woven into the fabric of the sport. And I thought LSU did a great job of honoring not only the military and the Army, but West Point and the football team. But then once boot met ball, I mean, it was
on.
We're on. Yeah. And, LSU took care of business early and often, which the biggest takeaway from me, not the final score, not the yards that Jaden put up in the first half, which were super impressive. But once again, for the second straight week, against a team that, let's face it, you're supposed to be better than this year, they didn't wait around. You know,
Yeah.
they got off to a very quick start.
That's what good teams do, right?
Yeah, and if that's something that LSU, this team, is learning to do, then that's a good sign starting next Saturday when they're back in action.
It feels like they've kind of reinserted themselves back into the discussion here nationally. Not just Jaden Daniels into the Heisman talk, but I think people are kind of like, should we buy stock on LSU?
I mean, it's very similar to last year.
It is.
I mean, I was asked earlier this morning on a radio show I do in Shreveport, are you surprised by suddenly now LSU's back in the conversation? And I'm like, well, I mean, I guess you could say that for hyperbole, but this is kind of where we were last year.
Yeah.
I mean, LSU, if you think about it, left for dead after that Tennessee game from a national standpoint.
Definitely.
And then suddenly they start to creep their way back into the conversation. I've said it, and I could be wrong, and that's fine. Won't be the first. Certainly won't be the last. But, they have everything still in front of them, and I mean everything from a team standpoint. They have no margin for error.
Yeah.
The rest of the way, they have zero margin for error,
Which I like because it keeps you.
keeps you sharp, keeps you on the edge.
Right.
And there's a lot of football left to be played, but suddenly you play well, come out of Tuscaloosa with a win, and then you finish at home the rest of the way, even with some pretty good opponents coming in. I mean, you get yourself to Atlanta. Who knows what happens in Atlanta this year? I don't care what anybody says. It's a different Georgia team, and they may win it all,
Right, right.
and three-peat,
Yeah.
and it wouldn't surprise me. But they're not the untouchable Georgia team from really the last 2 years. You're going to tell me somebody is under the confetti in Atlanta in the SEC championship game, and they're not in the college football playoff? I mean, again, I could be wrong, and I know there's other teams and other conferences that will make their pitch. But, I see everything still in front of this team.
I just got to see somebody who I believe could stop them. I still have that's what when I saw Georgia the past 2 years, I thought, man, they're a buzzsaw defensively. You got to be high. Maybe this LSU offense would be the one, but this year on defense,
I hear this, this thing that you hear that, Florida State's the only team that stopped them. Well, I would argue
put up 400
that the 2 games LSU lost this year, it was an absolute collapse defensively.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would put more of the onus on the defense in both of those games, certainly when you score 49 points in Oxford. So I'm not so sure. I think Florida State was much more ready to go. They had a much more sense of urgency in that opening game. But, yeah, I'm with you. I'm still waiting for somebody to shut them down. We'll see what happens Saturday.
Jaden Daniels, again, goes out and just kind of ho-hum a couple, a career night for somebody. Again, Chris, I know I ask you this every week, but as this offense continues to evolve, and you were at the call of, the best offense ever that LSU has seen, what are we watching? I mean,
special.
Yeah.
It's very special. I mean, the numbers, again, when these continue, and I preface everything, I think I said it on your show a week or so ago, that, you gotta, they did it 15 games.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, outside of maybe the Auburn game where they weren't stopped, they were just slowed up a little bit.
Yeah.
But outside of that, they did it for 15 games. So, again, not quite there yet, but on the trajectory they're on right now. I mean, this is one of the most prolific offenses. I mean, just look, every week they seem to take over another category offensively, not only in the SEC, but in the country.
Yeah.
And it was interesting, Jay Johnson being here, because Coach Kelly told me Thursday when I asked, in a perfect world, what would you like to see on Saturday? Because, again, you're going into the bye week. You got to take on Alabama in conference after that on the road. And he's, it was kind of like, well, you've heard of a pitch count. Jaden's kind of on a yard count. Like, if it comes in the first quarter, then he'll take a nap, the rest of the game. It happened to come at the end of the second, which was why it was exciting to see. They literally said, all right, we're going to call a timeout here with like a minute 30, and we're going to get another opportunity to score, which, of course, they did. And, again, it was a great night for him. And, I don't know of another young person that deserves it more. And that's why it's exciting to see what he's up to right now.
No, I agree, man. He has been an incredible representative of LSU. And I think one that's still very curious to people. I don't know how much people really know him.
It's funny because, you think about what we think of Joe Burrow and how we knew everything.
That's right.
And again, his first year here, he had a good season, but I don't know that anybody expected what we saw in 2019. But I think there are people that are coming over to Jaden Daniels, and I think some of it is because, frankly, before the beginning of the year, there was a lot of people didn't think he could do this.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think there were still question marks. Is he going to stretch the field? Does he have the confidence to put the ball in the air and let his receivers go get it? And, you know, I go back to last year's Ole Miss game. That's when I kind of think the light went off, where he was like, you know what, I do trust these guys, and I am going to put it up there. And I think 9 times out of 10 they're going to come up with it, even on a 50-50 ball. But he's been looking to do that all season long. And, you know, last week, Pro Football Focus, you know, they put out their report. He leads the country in deep ball passing, and they also followed up with, and it's not even close.
Yeah.
Like, he's got the highest deep ball passing rating they've ever given to a P5 quarterback.
I saw where he's got the most efficiency at passes over 20, 30, and 40 yards.
Yeah. And just think about the narrative last year midseason, which is that's what's holding us back. And I'm not saying that wasn't warranted, because it did take him a while to get comfortable doing that, but he's pretty doggone good at it now. I mean, you go back and watch that play, and I've done it 1,000 times, on the sprint out where he hits Thomas for 86 yards. I mean, you have to be really locked in as a quarterback and receiver to be able to pull that off, because Jaden's almost exactly behind Brian. Like, there's not a whole lot of vision Brian has once that ball gets airborne.
And he's running full speed at the sideline.
At full speed, yeah. I mean, that's,
you know what I mean? Like,
and I mean, to Jaden's credit, and people can go back and watch it. I know I took some criticism because when it came out of his arm, his hand, it was a little wobbly. It wasn't a tight spiral. I mean, he threw it right in front of us, and I saw the arc, and it was a little wobbly. But he got the ball the distance he needed to get on a play that, you know, at that point, game over.
I mean, and Thomas and Neighbors, and, you know, again, I mean, you're a great resource for this. You've called 2 of the, you know, most prolific wide receiver years. I mean, you called a Biletnikoff year with Jamar Chase. These 2, right? I mean, it's...
you talk about haven't seen anybody stop this offense. I mean, pretty much every game, somebody they're trying to take away. More times than not this year, it's been Malik. And even against bracket coverage, you know, he's getting 8, 9 targets. He's making 6 or 7 catches, and they're doing everything.
Right.
They're like, basically, take one player off the table, and that's Malik Neighbors. That's what our defense is wanting to do, and they still can't do it. You know, there were times where in 19 you would see them, you know, really concentrate on Jamar, or say, hey, you know what, let's take Justin out of the mix. And then one of those other guys would, you know, stand out. And we've seen that a couple of times this year with Kyron Lacey, obviously, against Auburn, and then Brian Thomas. But you're looking at guys that are doing 120-plus yards at the same time in the same game.
I mean, and making it look very easy. Easy.
I mean, there are times Malik Neighbors is, you know, because they can move him around to the X, Y, and Z, you know, every defense, every snap, they're having to adjust where they're covering and who's covering Malik Neighbors. And there's been times where it's hard to believe he's wide open middle of the field.
It's
and you're like, this defense has to be just melting up there in the booth that they can't figure out how to take him out of the equation.
I know you obviously will remember this 19. Terrace Marshall caught a touchdown in this game. I mean, he's standing by himself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, standing by himself. They were so worried, freaking out. I mean, like, next thing you know, you got one of the, you know, like Marshall just standing. So, I mean, there's going to be opportunity. Because I think Saban's going to do that. I think I don't know what you would, like, if you're given options like, all right, what are you going to do against this offense? You're gonna try and take Neighbors out. You're going to try and do something with both of them. Because then, like, this is where I think this 23 edition is that Daniels will murder you with his running.
Yeah. I mean, I think if I had to guess, not that this is some genius football analysis, but I have to believe that Alabama this week and next are saying, look, come hell or high water, we're not going to let them run the football. We cannot allow them, whether it's Diggs or Jaden Daniels, design runs. What we want to do is, again, try to take away one of the weapons and force Jaden Daniels, as crazy as this sounds, to have to sit in the pocket, keep him contained, and just throw. And let's see if he can complete 80% of his passes for 4 quarters. Now, I'm not saying Jaden can't do that. But I just believe they think, you know what, this two-headed monster that LSU's developed with both the passing game, with the talent they have, on top of the fact that now Logan Diggs and Jaden Daniels, you know, present a a two-headed rushing attack. Not to mention, as deep as they get with the rest of the running backs, including another freshman in Trey Holly, who was incredible to watch. I just think Alabama knows, okay, we can't take away the passing attack completely, but let's try to make that the total focus of LSU. Yeah.
It will be interesting to see what his plan, like how he defends this thing.
Which again leads me to, what does that mean to stop the run if you're going to try to take away the passing game? I mean, that's not a foolproof method.
Sure.
I understand that
It could backfire
because the numbers are not going to be in your favor. I mean, you're asking your defensive front 3 or 4 guys to hold Logan Diggs and Jaden Daniels in check. That's not easy to do.
I agree, very
But
much.
we all know, as many coaches have said, when you throw the ball, put the ball in the air, 3 things happen. 2 of them aren't
bad.
good. So I think that's what Alabama will try to do.
All right, last one to get you out of here. You and I, Matt McMahon fans, pulling for him.
Yep.
I don't think people understand where he's coming from in building this thing. I was glad to hear him yesterday kind of recognize that publicly, because at no point is that ever an excuse. I think coaches are scared to say that type of stuff because then you view them as excuse makers. But this is some real life stuff of, I don't think anybody can really look at it and say, there's the example. LSU's the example on this thing.
Yeah, I mean, I one of the things that I really respect about Coach McMahon is that never was uttered last year. I mean, it was like, look, we're on the ground here. We're having to rebuild things for the most part. As I told you before we went on the air, I think when he got here, they had a couple of returning managers, and that was about all. And then had to rebuild a roster, had to build the staff. We all know the story. It's a rebuilding process. But, he mentioned something to me several months ago. He did a podcast we do each week, and he said to me, he goes, we look at this as a continuance of year number 1. Like this building project, it wasn't year number 1 and we're moving to year number 2. He said, what you'll see this year is really still rebuilding year number 1. Because you remember, when it got here in April, May, late April.
0 players.
Yeah. And, had nobody, and then had to go try to retain some of those guys, and he was able to do that, bring in some guys. But, hey, quietly he's putting together some pretty good recruiting classes. He's done pretty good, I think, certainly this year, in the transfer portal, which, again, is by necessity. Coach Kelly talks about it all the time. That's not the way he wants to build this team, but right now when he took over, that's how they had to do it. So hopefully we're going to see this shift of you take the best of the best to add a piece here or there out of the portal. The rest of the time you're developing 2- and 3-year guys. And that's ultimately what I think Matt wants to do, and he's well on his way. And I tell you what, man, this team will score. They have some scores. And I know there were fans last year, deservedly so, that said, we have trouble scoring. I mean, there were times there were 8- and 10-minute gaps in games where you just could not put the ball in the cylinder. I don't think that's going to be a problem this year.
Yeah.
I think we'll see them grow defensively, depending on what the NCAA wants to do, which who knows. They don't seem to have a clock or a time period or any rhyme or reason to what they do. You've got to find that point guard for you in the event that Jalen Cook's not available. But I think the defense and handling the ball will get better. They can score.
This Jalen Cook thing should be a crime.
I mean, it really should. I mean,
it really.
If you're gonna hold
what are
somebody's
they doing?
If you're gonna hold somebody's career in limbo, you at least ought to have the decency to say, all right, this has to be adjudicated by X date prior to the season.
Right.
I think it's egregious what they have done, not only to Jalen, but I mean, it's a litany of players that they're like, hey, we're taking our time here. And again, I don't know what they're going to decide, but whatever the decision is, they ought to just have a rule in Indianapolis that, hey, guys, we got to have it done before the season starts.
Absolutely. I mean,
maybe a couple of weeks before the season
on
starts.
these types of hearings, you got a month window.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's amazing that
you would think they're
allowed to get away
extremely
with it.
busy doing other things. What those things are, I don't know.
It's unreal. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Golf, of course.
Yeah. I don't know.
Chris, have a good day. Enjoy the bye weekend.
You got
it. Chris Blair, voice of the Tigers. He is off this weekend with LSU, but he will be on the call in Bryant-Denny a week from Saturday as LSU in a top 15 matchup will be squaring off in prime time versus the Tide. That'll be on the LSU Sports Radio Network. We'll have that preview with Blair next Thursday right here on the Jordy Culotta Show. We'll be back and close it out, built by R&B.
We know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. Jaden Andrews to create the Ochsner-Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner-Andrews Institute. Long live you.
You can't put the cart before the horse. That'd be like, will you marry me?
Do I know you?
Never sign a contract with a roofer before he gets on your roof. Call Go Roof instead. We offer a free, no-obligation inspection. A beautiful roof every single time. Bobby, goes in the front.
Roof, roof, go roof. Offensive player of the game from LSU, Joe Burrow.
Football is life. Football is Joe Burrow.
Click Here Digital, the home of the Jordy Culotta Show. Online at clickheredigital.com. If you're looking to set Google ads, set social media campaigns, learn about SEO, display video, or even creative, Click Here Digital has the answer for you. Online at clickheredigital.com or email me directly, Jordy at clickheredigital.com.
Well, the Ochsner-Andrews Sports Medicine Institute collaborative effort was an idea from Dr. Andrews and myself to bring together two great names, the Andrews name and the Ochsner name, to elevate the quality of care for athletes in the state of Louisiana, where he's from.
I always thought I would come back to Louisiana and practice orthopedics with my subspecialty being sports medicine. This was an opportunity through Ochsner's to come back and work the entire state to help develop and take sports medicine to a new level.
As an orthopedic surgeon, what this means in the future in terms of, access for our community to the type of care that Dr. Andrews pioneered, words can't describe how valuable that is.
Ochsner has a great opportunity here to really grow, and Dr. Burnham, of course, is the mainstay of making that happen. If you want to have first-class sports medicine care, check in with Dr. Burnham and his group, and you'll be more than impressed and pleased.
My name is Harold Perkins, and I play linebacker.
What's your favorite pre-game meal or snack?
Pasta with a little steak, something that's not too heavy.
Any superstitions or pre-game rituals?
I pray a lot. Just be me and God before the game. Perky worky. I like when they call me the percolator. I like that.
If anyone gets in a wreck, who should they call?
Gore.
Thanks. Where were you born at, Greg?
Hattiesburg, Mississippi. But I claim 504 food because I was raised there my whole life. Favorite type of food is spaghetti. But you need to try spaghetti with some corn on the side. Funniest person, I probably get Kyron Lacey. He be having me joked out every time I talk to him.
Who's the most athletic?
Besides myself, Perk or Malik. Future self, just take one day at a time, one step at a time. If you're doing something, just be where your feet are. Make sure you give 100% effort.
What is something on your bucket list?
Win a Super Bowl. That's definitely on my bucket list.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Time traveling.
Who's the fastest on the team?
Like in a short span, I would say quick trigger, I'm taking Perk. One thing most people don't know about me, probably that I moved 12 times growing up, 12 different states.
Who's the most savage on the team?
Mason Smith. Mason Smith, definitely.
And who gets it done?
Gordon.
Thank you, man. That's great.
Emory Jones, right tackle.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Got it from my mom, and she just told me, always keep your head on the swivel.
Favorite subject?
Math, easy. I kind of keep it light. Give me some type of red beans or something like that. Throw a little cornbread on the side.
Light with red beans.
Yeah, just a little bit. I am superstitious. I got some PSDs that's purple and yellow and white. I wear them every game. I feel like they my lucky draws, and you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep doing it.
Head health is incredibly important for our student athletes. One of the best ways we're trying to address concussions is on the front end. We're trying to prevent these before they happen. And a big part of that is speaking to the athletes, letting them know what to expect. Okay, speaking to the parents, what to look out for, talking to the coaches so they know the vital importance. Some of the big things we're looking for with a concussion, which is, a traumatic brain injury, is one, was there a mechanism? Was there an injury that took place that could lead to this? Often a direct blow to the head, a head-to-head hit. If someone's showing signs of concussion, our first step is always to remove them from activity, get them to a place where there's less stimuli, where we can really just sit down and get a feel for the athlete, what they're feeling. We're looking for headache, we're looking for dizziness, any sign that coordination is off, that something's just not right. Get a good evaluation of them to understand what's going on. It's not worth the risk that may be there to kind of ignore it, because there are very serious consequences if we don't treat a concussion properly.
Back here, Jordy Culotta Show, as always, built by R&B Builders, live here on this Thursday. We appreciate today's guests, Chris, Blair, Jay Johnson, and the crew. As always, your interaction. We will be back with you tomorrow morning, closing out the week here of this bye. Not bad on the bye. Usually takes a little longer, but the bye a little quick.
We had so much to talk about.
We'll be into game week next week for LSU Bama, and as always, will be a great build-up to the Tigers and Tide. This one from Bryant Denny, the 2023 edition.
Bryant
As
Denny.
LSU will take the #1 offense in the country against a trending defense and a top 15 matchup on prime time. We'll we will be back with you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. We will close out the week.
I think we'll probably be on a little earlier than that.
7 a.m., 7 to 9 a.m. Make sure to hit that like button, share button, comment button. Remember, we're urging you, if you are watching, you are not subscribed to the show here on YouTube, or if you're listening on podcasts and you're not liking or following the podcast, please do that for us. Get these numbers moving here into the winter. We appreciate you as always. We'll be back with you tomorrow. Compliments of our friend RMB.
Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification, we about to go live. We got all your favorite guests, we got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time. It's the hottest show around, we ain't gotta flex. Call up G, we get it done, we earning our respect. Tell recruits to let us in, where they going next. Throw up the L's, now we lit, band playing Nick. From the boot to the east to the west coast. No matter where we at, we live, mic'd up for show. Open up the phone lines, come and join the show. Make sure you tell your friends about Jordy Culotta Show, yeah. Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification, we about to go live. We got all your favorite guests, we got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time. Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification, we about to go live. We got all your favorite guests, we got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show.